All right, back for video 2. We're going to talk about the topic of recovery. Now, this is probably going to be a longer video. I know the other one's way longer than what I thought it was going to be. This one's going to be even longer, so I apologize up front. So let's break this down to a few different categories. First being lifestyle. We talked at length about diet with Aaron when driving around at the event. And it sounds like you have your diet, fairly dialed in. Just eat real food, avoid sugar. If you're training a lot, and I'm assuming you are, for what you've told me your goals are, you're going to want to eat a decent amount of clean meat. Ideally stuff without barbecue sauce and sugary stuff on it. That goes without saying. But just eat real food. Make sure you get a good amount of meat in your diet. A lot of people are trying to poo-poo it right now, especially on the coast, both East Coast and West Coast. It's not the cool kid thing to do, but if you're going to recover from training and your workouts, it's really important. I always recommend avoiding alcohol and avoiding drugs. Granted, weed has shown some ability to help people recover, but it does become a crutch, and it's not the greatest thing in the world for your lungs. And endurance is a big part of the martial arts game. For workouts, for your training, I can talk probably for 3-4 hours on this alone. My biggest piece of advice is this. Remember, you are first and foremost a martial artist. You're not a weightlifter. You're not a gymnast. You're not a club swinger. You're not a CrossFit athlete. You're a martial artist. If you remember that and you structure your training with that main goal in mind, you're probably going to be okay. Should you lift some weights? Yeah. Should you do some calisthenic exercises? Yeah. But you shouldn't kill yourself on them. Your main area of focus needs to be skill and attribute development in the martial arts. So when you do have workouts, not necessarily training sessions, but workouts, you really need to consider the two things that they're designed to do. Workouts are designed to either condition muscles for certain movements. So you either need to be, let's say, stronger for, let's say, striking, grappling, weapon swinging, or what have you. And you need to condition those muscles so you can use them more and you're not getting tired. Sorry, my dog's over there licking himself. The second thing you need to do is to iron out something that they're called compensations in the workout world. Meaning, let's take a striking art, for instance, like karate. You have a lot of horizontal pushing and pulling movements in karate. Same thing for boxing. If you do not develop your vertical movements of those muscles, you start to develop what's known as compensations, and that unfortunately can lead to injury. It can lead to physical plateaus. It can lead to a lot of issues. And just remember that if you don't develop your body fully and iron out those compensations, you're just asking for injuries, you're asking for plateaus, and to stagnate physically. And that's never a good thing. One more thing. If you are not recovered from your workout or your training session, you're sore, you're in pain, either take it very, very lightly, just practice the movement, use a very light weight, focus on perfecting your technique of whatever movement you're doing, whether it's a body weight movement, club movement, weightlifting movement, or if you're working on your technique as a martial artist, practice on that. Do not go hard. In order to be as effective and efficient as a fighter, you need to be recovered. A lot of people really like to say, keep going, keep pushing, constantly keep pushing yourself. That is a perfect way to get a chronic or a permanent injury and to really stagnate your training. Because if you're seriously injured, you can't train at all. You stop developing physically, you stop developing your skill, and you stop developing your attributes. None of that is a good thing. So in this mindset, it's usually easier for women than it is for men. Unfortunately, this is why most men, myself included, have serious injuries from the martial arts. They kept trying to push themselves. Now, when it comes to recovery, there's 3 really big things. We touched on diet. It sounds like you have yours pretty dialed in. Just be very strict with it. Always remember you are what you eat. Number 2 is sleep. The importance of sleep cannot be understated. This is absolutely critical. If you are not sleeping, you are not healing, you are not recovering, both mentally and physically. Always remember, it's not the workout or the training session that makes you stronger. It's your ability to recover from it and adapt from it. If you're not sleeping, you're not adapting. I cannot stress this enough. Workouts and training sessions are a stressor on your body. They cause inflammation, they cause damage. It's the repair from that that makes you stronger. Number 3, this is a bit of a touchy subject for some martial artists. It's de-stressing your nervous system. In my opinion, the best way to go about this is really, for lack of a better term, it's meditation. It's meditation and breath work. In my opinion, you see meditation in every single martial arts culture, pretty much throughout any time period known to man. Doesn't matter if it's in China, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, Southeast Asia, even in Western Europe, where they do a lot of prayers, they do a lot of different practices where after battles, after training sessions, they would go out into the woods and fast and do different prayer-like activities. I would count all of that as some form of meditation. And this is to recover and de-stress your nervous system and to de-stress your mind. Because you're training how to solve a problem. That problem is violence. In my opinion, the single best method out there for de-stressing your nervous system is, ironically, a different martial art. And in my opinion, the best martial art to cross-train in, and that's Systema. A lot of people poo-poo it on the internet. They see some things that they don't understand. Systema is really the martial art of breathing. And it's a martial art you can practice as long as you're awake. You don't have to be fighting. You can be driving. You can be typing up, a report or something on the internet. You can be eating. You can be cooking food. You can be walking around, and you can still be practicing Systema. And you can be de-stressing your nervous system and hyperoxygenating your body at the same time. If you want to know more about Systema, I can make a separate video on that. I could always shoot you some links. But the breath work from Systema, in my opinion, is second to none. It's a complete lifestyle change. It will not only slow the stressing of your nervous system, but also de-stress it as well, like a conventional meditation. Let's see, what else do we have here? All right. One other breathing exercise you could do, I don't know if you suffer from sleep problems, this is fantastic for it, is the Wim Hof method. If you Google like Wim Hof, Joe Rogan, there's a really good clip of where Wim Hof shows Joe Rogan how to do his breathing method. You can learn it in less than 5 minutes. It yields fantastic results. The last aspect of recovery is injury recovery. This is a bit of a tricky one. I recommend a product called Resinol K. I'll post a link to it or shoot you a message. In my opinion, it makes people recover faster from whatever type of injury they may have suffered, bar none. Probably the best recovery supplement out there. Some good CBD can be really helpful, whether it's for topical stuff, whether it's for a tincture under the tongue. Getting that in your system to thin your blood and reduce inflammation is going to speed up any serious, the recovery from any injury, whether it's serious or minor. And the last thing, I don't really like recommending too many supplements, but this is something, in my opinion, everyone should take. I have never seen anybody test at adequate levels for this who is not supplementing it, and that's magnesium and zinc. Unfortunately, everybody pretty much in the Western world, I would say industrialized world period, is deficient in these minerals, possibly due to over-farming, without regenerative agriculture. There's many different reasons. But to cut to the chase, I would take 150 milligrams of zinc a day. For magnesium, take as much as you can handle. I find in clients I've worked with in the past, by them taking a monstrous amount of magnesium, they've not only been able to reduce chronic ailments and disorders such as insomnia, sleep apnea, and things like this, but even really help stifle chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, heart conditions, so on and so forth. Take as much magnesium as you can handle. Personally, I put 2 tablespoons of magnesium in a drink, usually 1 tablespoon at a time. I'll drink something in the morning, another tablespoon in the late afternoon, and then I'll take some magnesium threonate with some L-theanine at night before I go to sleep to help me sleep. And it's been fantastic for recovery. I am 32 now. My recovery is that of somebody in their early to mid-20s. Another thing for injury recovery, this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, and this is probably the last little subject here for this video. If you're ever injured, if you're not feeling sharp pain anymore, if it's still a dull pain, lightly work the muscle that is injured. You will start increasing circulation there. This will speed it up. It will increase growth hormone. And if you are able to do squats, in a decent amount of them, do squats. It will secrete a ton of growth hormone throughout your system, and this will only help speed up recovery, especially if you're working your muscle, you're supplementing with everything I've recommended. You will recover from injury much, much faster. All right, well, this is it for video 2. Got one more for you. If I missed anything, if I misinterpreted anything, let me know, and I can always shoot something else. In the meantime, take care.